Well, hello again. I'm doing another video and I actually think this will probably make it up today or at least tomorrow. So right before the end of the year, and I think I'm getting back in the swing of things. It felt good uploading my last video, and thank you guys so much for all of the video responses. That was so cool. Seeing those, and yeah, that was just really fun. So today I thought that I would do a Book of Shadows update. I think that was like one of my first videos, is like talking about my ugly Book of Shadows, which I felt a little bit bad after I posted that to Instagram because I had taken a picture of my Book of Shadows. It's a gorgeous book and it's soft and everything. And I think, so my whole point of that video was to get across that, we get these pretty books and then we don't write in them. And I see that all the time. I think most people, can kind of share that sentiment because we're like, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to, like my awful handwriting, which is kind of why I called it my ugly Book of Shadows, is because I have terrible chicken scratch handwriting that, I started out writing really pretty in it, or at least I tried to anyway. And immediately I was a little displeased with my handwriting, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna not write in my book. I want to make sure that I'm documenting like my process and the things that I'm learning about, and to be able to go back later on. And so I've just kind of accepted that I don't have the best handwriting and that I still want to make sure that I document, my spells and things that are going on or whatever I'm newly learning about. And so in the midst of wanting to do this, I also recently found what I guess you could consider to be my first Book of Shadows. And like, I think I've talked a little bit about my kind of like my process or my move into like witchcraft or witchy, stuff. And I've always kind of been in that space, but it's one of those things like learning that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be interested in like, natural things and, plants and all of these other things and energetics and all this other really cool stuff that, isn't really like mainstream super much. So, yeah, I found what I guess you would consider to be my first Book of Shadows. And it's just like, I think I actually got this journal either I got this from Goodwill and it hadn't been written in, or I got it from Changing Hands bookstore where I lived in Arizona previously, like a long time ago. And I was looking through this and I was trying to figure out exactly when I started this, because unfortunately I didn't date anything. This was just kind of when I was learning about chakras and energetics and wanting to learn more about stones and things. I think I can kind of guess about when this was. I know it would have been in high school, and I'm thinking maybe like sophomore year of high school, maybe junior year of high school is kind of what I'm assuming. And I actually feel like I had better handwriting then. I was probably writing a lot more then, that's for sure. So, because I'm not looking at this like horrified. Let's see. So here, this front part is how much I actually wrote in it. So there's a whole bunch of empty space, which I don't like that. Does anybody else do that, where you start writing in a book and then maybe you either forget or you don't continue on, and then you have all these books that you started and they're only like half filled? That totally drives me crazy, but nor here nor there, I guess, at this moment, because it is what it is. And I don't really want to continue writing in it because this is, it's one of those things. It's the process, I guess, right? Like, I don't want to write in it now mixing with what I'm doing now, because it was a different space. So I just kind of like, I taped this little thing in here to kind of cover the front thing, because I think you were supposed to put an actual like picture or something, which I wasn't going to do that. So yeah, and it's got, I don't know, it's got like a little blurb or something, I think for like journaling or whatnot. But right away, so I did actually create like a content, contents, you know what I'm saying? The contents numbering thing. Yeah, that. So I did go back after all that I wrote and listed like the page number so that I could find it. That is something that I plan to do with this. I could start that, and I don't remember, did I leave any space? I think I tried to, and then I think I actually came back and filled in the space that I had left with something else. So pretty much, I think what I'll have to do is I'll have to go back in here and maybe put a piece of paper to be able to do my contents there. And because I think this is the page that I had left. And then after I started, I went back and kind of did like my, what would you call it? Kind of like the motto of like my witch workings, if that makes any sense. So I went back and did that. So I'll have to, you know, fill in another spot for that in this, but I did leave, you know, I did have some space to do that in this. So right off the bat, let's see, I'll kind of just go through, I don't know, I guess briefly of like what the little topics were. And I started out with the elements, and then chakras, tourmaline, dowsing, calming, amplifying problems, peace, astrology. Oh, I guess I wrote in a hummus recipe, so that was important. My crystals, so things for like physical and mental tarot, runes, which that's interesting. Aromatherapy, Buddhist teachings, herbs, candles, and some other Zen topics and things like that. So none of these are like super in depth. It was really hard. Like I'm thinking about it now, and it was really hard to find information. I feel like, you know, this would have been like over 10 years ago. So maybe like 15 years ago. And it's amazing how far everything has come. I was just thinking about that. And, you know, we have Pinterest now. So Pinterest is fabulous. I have tons of things that I've saved from Pinterest, you know, so that tons of witchy creators, you know, on the internet have, it's a really great catalog space to kind of find like what other people are doing and other spells and topics and things like that, which is so amazing. I find that's like the easiest place to find things. I don't know. Let me know down below where you find other workings. I'm sure Instagram is probably another one for most people, but I don't really go to Instagram to like, you know, like find information like that. If I see something that's really great, I don't know that I've ever written anything down and been like, oh yeah, you know, like I need to remember that for later. So maybe that's my own problem though. But anyways, so yeah, it's really interesting how far things have come. There weren't very many books out at that time, I don't feel like. Now my shelves are full. I don't remember if I've ever done, did I ever do like my first books in my practice? I don't know. I feel like maybe I have shown those before, but I'm not sure. If I haven't, then maybe I should go back and like compare kind of some of the books that I started out with and had to go off of, because I really feel like there just weren't a ton. Now there's like shelves and shelves full of crystals and herbs, and I mean just like anything you could pretty much think of, I think. So this is all like really super basic. I felt like at that time, you know, this would have been like early 2000s or so. It was still kind of hard to find information on things like this. I ended up in a really great group of people that I kind of lived around and connected with, like through going to like, if you guys, I don't know if any other places had like First Friday kind of things, or where, you know, it would be, I guess, essentially like an art walk type of event in like your downtown city or something like that, where, you know, you have lots of people who are doing crafts or homemade things or what have you like that. And that was something that I was really into a lot. So yeah, I've got like, you know, And then unfortunately too, and this is something that I started trying to do very recently in my own book of shadows, is notating and citing where I'm finding the information from, because I'm looking at these things and I'm like, I wonder where I got this information from, because I didn't write down where I would have collected these things from. And I'm assuming that I either kind of got these from maybe like my group at the time of people who were also interested in similar things, or maybe they were cited out of books. Like here is a quartz amplifying grid that I notated. So, and I'm like, I don't know where any of that came from. So, and I feel like there's a few things that might have been intuitive, but probably not much. Most of these I would think that I probably, you know, copied down from some sort of source, obviously. So you've got like astrology for Pisces. And then, so at one time, this is super interesting. So at one time, I actually tried to keep a log of the crystals that I had. So I've got like amethyst and tiger's eye, aventurine, rose quartz, picture jasper, quartz, hematite, sodalite, opal, moonstone, red jasper, green calcite, yellow calcite, howlite, agate, carnelian, citrine, jade, lapis, moss agate, demortarite, and Apache tears, and snowflake obsidian. So that's interesting that I actually tried to keep track in the very beginning, I guess. And I've got like 1s and 2s, and then a few that I have 3s of. And now, of course, if I tried to do that, that would be like a nightmare trying to catalog all of the things. I've got like basic things like, you know, crystals that help with, you know, like certain ailments and things like that. I've got, let's see, super basic thing on tarot card, runes. Okay, so like this is why I thought this was super fun, because I was like, I don't think I was really ever into runes then. That was the extent of runes that I had. It's literally one sentence. Throw the stones, pick out, and read what it means for you. Super descriptive. Thanks. That's really helpful. But now I actually have, you know, a little grid of runes, or a little blurb that's a little bit more in depth than that. So this, like, you're talking like super the most basics for sure. And then I've got like, you know, some little things about like herbs and aromatherapy and things, you know, just like some pretty basic. I hope this isn't backwards for you guys. Jasmine, you know, see, some of these things I don't really, I'm kind of a little bit more wary about listing physical ailment associations with herbs and things like that. I feel like that is something that is, you know, you have to be careful in that arena, you know what I mean? And I know now that I've started therapy, I'm a huge advocate for that. If you feel like you have been struggling at all, if you can and you have access, don't put it off. It's so helpful. It really is. So let's see, how much further? I mean, we don't need to go through like every single thing on here. It looks like I've got another, this is, I think, more like Zen focused, of like the elements, because this includes like metal. So this is a little bit more like kind of towards the feng shui type things. And so yeah, it's pretty, oh, and then like basic home things, and that's like feng shui type things too. So all of these things are like the most basic things, and I just thought that was so interesting to look back on kind of like things that I actually notated back way back when, things that I was interested in learning about. They're all the same things that I'm still interested and still learning about. So these are things that I've spent years trying to figure out and learn. And yeah, I think it's an ever evolving cycle. So I don't know when I would have left off about my Book of Shadows. I'm sure it was like pretty early on into my Book of Shadows journey. So let's see, I think I'm going to go to, I wish I had looked to see, but there isn't a lot here from 2019. And let's see, this starts off 2019 here. So I'm assuming I probably would have definitely shown 2018 at least, but I'm not going to bore you with going through every page of my Book of Shadows, but let's see. So I think I'll just give like a quick look at and show you like, this is what I did in 2019, and then the sections that I filled out in 2020. I think I've tried to be better this year about writing. So if we look at it this way, let me just grab this page right here. This first page section is 2018. That's the whole year of 2018. So as you can see, even though I was probably learning a ton, unfortunately, I didn't notate a lot of things that I was learning about. Then we have 2019 there. So here, and then this, oh, I think there's more. Is that it? Yeah. And so a little bit more this year, and I think I still have a couple more pages to go of some things that I've been learning. So almost about the same. And then, so theoretically, this will take up maybe the rest of 2021. So I've gotten obviously better, like trying to write down the things that I'm learning about, because I feel like it is super important to go back and look at things. I also have a ton of notes on my phone that I think I need to write down. I need to like get that out of my phone and probably like backdate some of that in here. So it'll probably be really weird when I go to look through it and be like, oh, why is there stuff from 2018 and 19 like all the way back here? But that's because I have a ton of notes where like if I'm out or if I'm listening to videos or things like that, like down at the TV, and I'll pop my phone open and I'll start like notating things down there. So probably have a few to do with that. At one point, I think I was trying to catalog all of my Scullies in here, and I think I entirely gave up on that because I have like its own book for the crystal skulls and things, and that has taken up quite a few pages in there. I've pretty much completely outgrown that book for my crystal skulls, and I'm currently working on like a printable catalog that I'm going through, and I'm like listing all of the, you know, ideas and information and things for each of the skulls and messages that I've gotten and things about the crystal itself. So I'm going through and doing that, and that I'll be printing out, and I'll definitely show that on here once I'm done with that, because I do want to like give people the opportunity to also print out like a little log like that if you want to keep that stuff for your crystal skulls and whatever. And so I think I just gave up trying to put that in here because it was going to be too big. And then I do plan, I've been slowly kind of trying to write like a digital Book of Shadows thing too. I was kind of hemming and hawing on this a lot, where I was like, should I do a scrapbook Book of Shadows to have like a nice Book of Shadows that I felt like, you know, I could look back and read. I mean, it wouldn't be getting rid of this. I have a few other notebooks where like I've taken a lot of notations and then I've gone back and I have like printed out a version of that or rewritten, you know, and typed out a version of that just so it's easier to read. It's, you know, it's a little nicer. It's a little bit more kind of like book-like, if that makes sense. So I do plan on eventually creating kind of like my own printed Book of Shadows, because I feel like that would I would like that better, and I would probably be more likely to actually get it done than if I did like a scrapbook. I love scrapbooking. I did a lot of scrapbooking when I was a teenager, and I really enjoy the process of that, but I just don't see me actually getting it finished if I start on something like that, because I feel already out of some of the things that I've written down, it's gonna be like 400 or 500 pages eventually, probably. So I have kind of like this weird OCD thing about, you know, needing to have all of the information in one place, in one big book. I know that's kind of like the, you know, the movie thing of like having the big book. It's not going to be, you know, probably the most witchy, aesthetically pleasing. It's probably going to just be 3-ring, or not 3-ring, but the spiral bound type of thing. Because I feel like, you know, you can take it to Office Max, you can get it printed there, or, you know, wherever, you know, wherever places do those things of printing, you know, in mass, so that you don't have to print out from your printer, which is so expensive. It's ridiculous. So I want to take it, get it printed somewhere, have it bound, and I would love to find maybe, I don't know, maybe I could find it on a like, I guess there's the internet printers now, and maybe that's where I could find like tape bound stuff, because I think I would more personally like something like this, where it's like, you know, it's able to be opened fairly easily, and it looks a little bit more like a book. So I don't know if anybody knows where, or if you've already gotten stuff printed out like something like this, leave that in the comments below, because I'd be super interested to see that, because, you know, this is kind of like the difference is this looks like a little bit more workbooky, you know. I think there's, you know, like a mental component of like, okay, you know, this is more like maybe something I could write in, whereas this is something more like, you know, is just kind of like a book. So yeah, anyways, that's my thought on my Book of Shadows, and I thought that was an interesting, you know, evolution kind of to, you know, my first notating of like things like that I was really interested in, and I just thought I would like share that with you guys, and because it's kind of cool. It's not even something I had really thought about until like super recently, when I actually found it. I was like, oh my God, I forgot that I had this book from so long ago, and this would have been basically my first Book of Shadows, essentially. So kind of cool. I will see you guys later, and thanks so much for watching, and please like and subscribe. I appreciate hanging out with you guys, and let me know about your guys' Book of Shadow journeys, and if you have like any ideas or what you do, go ahead and share that in the comments, because I love reading those. Bye!